Hello, my name is Keandria Green, and I'm attempting to do cognitive behavioral therapy. This video is not real, it's for the purposes of classroom only. Hello, how are you doing?
All right, how are you?
I'm doing good. As I said, my name is Keandria Green. How can I help you today?
Uh, I want to talk to you about having not being motivated on a career path that I'm trying to choose, and maybe having second thoughts on what I'm doing is the right thing or not.
Okay, and what is this? What is the career path you're thinking about? What do you do now? Where are you trying to go to?
I have a 9 to 5 job that I do Monday through Friday, so I'm a career worker. But I want to change my path, try to create a different avenue for myself. So I wanted to take a charge on something I had passion in doing. So I've always had a passion for music, so I decided I wanted to try a new lane and be a DJ.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been about a year and a half, and now uh, it's starting to feel like it may be kind of just stagnant and not really going to the next level. So I sometimes feel like I may have made the wrong choice, but I just need to know if I'm going in the right path, or is it something else that I could be doing that kind of take me to the next level.
Okay, so you're saying that you work a regular 9 to 5 now, but you're trying to seek more entrepreneurial endeavors to become a DJ, and you feel like you're at a standpoint where you're not moving as far as you think you should be at this moment. And how do you feel about your abilities in being a DJ?
Um, I put a lot of time and effort into trying to learn new things as far as all of the basic fundamentals of understanding what DJs do and how to, you know, figure out all of the components as far as the DJ boards, the softwares, different types of beat changes with music and things of that nature. Like I've done my research on everything I need to know and learn about what I want to do. It's just sometimes it feels like you're just not getting to that next level, and it kind of like just puts you in a place where you feel like you may have made the wrong choice and you're wasting your time. And it's something that I really feel passionate about, but I just got to find that it factor to get me to the next level.
Okay, so you're just looking for your niche in this new DJ career field, and where do you see yourself ultimately being as a DJ?
I feel like with the determination that I have in doing it and starting this new path, I feel like that if I put forth the effort and continue going with the same drive that I had with music and everything, I feel like that the sky's the limit. At times I feel like I could be the best at what I do, um, but sometimes you just don't get the recognition from your peers and people that you feel like understand what you're trying to do and can push you to the next level. So sometimes it's just the recognition and things of that nature that kind of causes me to feel like, well, maybe I'm not doing what I want to do really, or maybe it's just a long shot. But I really see myself being one of the best at it, because I really put forth the time and effort to do and try to build a brand on what I created for myself. So I can say the sky's the limit.
Well, that's good to hear. So, what are some of the positive things that have come out of you so far of being a DJ?
It's opened my ears up to a lot of different genres of music. Ones that I wasn't really aware of, or they were aware, just wasn't privy to them. It gives me a sense of respect for different cultures and how music is really like the universal language. So everybody understands, like, music makes people feel good. It just makes you want to let your hair down and kind of like forget about whatever type of issues or situation you may be going through, to help people get through some of the worst time. And it just puts the cap on a lot of the best times of your life. So those are some of the things that I've figured out with doing this. I can be of service to help people feel like they can get through some of the toughest points in their life.
Okay. So you're saying that it helps you feel good to help others feel good through music and through doing something that you actually love to do.
Right.
Right.
And that was really gives me the drive to continue to keep doing what I'm doing with it. As far as if I feel like sometimes I just feel like it's not worth it, or I'm wasting my time, or I could be focusing my time on something else, I go back and think about when someone came up to me and said, "Hey man, that was one of the best times I had tonight." And you know what I'm saying? I could have been anywhere else, but I was with you, and we had a great time, and I want to experience that again. So stuff like that helps me maintain and keep going and trying to push to the next level. So sometimes it gets kind of discouraging, but things like that kind of help me out. But I just want to make sure that I'm in my mind that I know I'm taking the right route and stepping out and doing something different and trying to create a new path.
Okay, so you're saying that you do find yourself getting discouraged at times. Tell me what that looks like. What makes you discouraged, or what happens when you start to get discouraged? What is not happening that makes you feel discouraged?
Sometimes when you don't get booked as much, you have to sell yourself as like a market. You have to, in order to get booked, people have to know who you are and what you do. So, being able to put myself out there and allowing people to contact me when they want services or whatever, it gets overwhelming sometimes because you feel like you market yourself, whether it be through hand to hand, social media, or whatever. It's just like you feel like your word isn't getting out far enough, and you kind of feel like it's just fading out. And it has these moments where it's up and it's down, and so sometimes you do I do get discouraged, and it's like, maybe I should be focusing on something else and doing something else. So that's what it looks like when it gets discouraged for me. It's like I don't really feel like my services are being warranted. People not really understanding or seeing what I'm doing. Things like that.
So you're saying that this business that you're trying to get into, this new endeavor, it has its highs and its lows, and it gets discouraging when you feel like your reach isn't far enough to get you to the point where you're going to actually see yourself moving in the direction you want to move in a reasonable amount of time, which you feel like should be when?
I don't really think there's a date per se. I feel like it's just that if you put in the right amount of time, right amount of effort, people should kind of fall in line with what's going on, understand the importance of, there's always a wedding, there's always a birthday, there's always some type of event, holidays or whatever. I feel like when I feel like I've actually made it, so to speak, or kind of feel like now I'm doing what I want and I'm doing what I love and I'm seeing the results, is when you want to be the first person they think about when they do those events, and you want to be able to say, well, I can't help you right now because I'm actually booked on that same day, same time. Like you want to have that many people reaching out, so that would be quote unquote the pinnacle of where I want to be at, of where I see myself going with it.
Okay, so how do you feel that your abilities affect your ability to move forward and do what you want to do as far as reaching people? What fears do you have about that, or what obstacles are you seeing in that aspect?
I feel like the obstacles is just not reaching the right people, the people that could potentially propel you into the next level, so to speak. Like, in other words, you have to start out with the smaller venues, the smaller events, but you want to get away from the smaller ones and show people that you're capable of doing the larger venues, the bigger spots, the bigger clubs, and eventually the arenas. So the obstacle of that is just trying to break through that mold and get through that door and let people know that I belong in there.
So tell me mentally how you prepare yourself to deal with those obstacles and pretty much encourage yourself to continue to focus on your new endeavor even though you have these obstacles. What do you tell yourself?
Well, I always explain to myself that I have to put myself out there continuously. Um, I have to always be someone that's being seen when people open their phones up and they go to their social media sites. I want to be the first person that they see or they think of because of the fact that I'm doing something that is going to ultimately is going to help a lot of people feel good about themselves, and it's going to always be a thought of a great time. Like I want to be that person that thought it was a great time. Um, Anytime an event comes up and people are conversating about who they're going to get to DJ their event or MC their event, the first name I want them to think about, or the first person to think about is myself.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want. And I feel like I tell myself a lot to just keep going, whether if it's one person or if it's a million people, somebody's watching. So
Mm-hmm.
as long as somebody's watching, you got a shot. That's what I tell myself, and I try to build off of that.
Mm-hmm. So that's a great way to, I would just like to say that's a great way to continue to keep yourself encouraged, and no matter if it's a high or a low, you still acknowledge the fact that you are doing your best to get where you want to go. And I'm sure you have the understanding that new endeavors and new career paths take time. It takes time to build that foundation. It takes time to build that platform. It takes time to reach those people and get them to understand who you are, and what you can provide. So what are some of the negative feelings you feel about this whole process in general? What are some of the negative thoughts you have?
What if I don't ever make it, or whatever making it is, as far as the big stage or the most popular club or the biggest radio show? Like if I don't ever make it to any of those stages, I feel like that's considered not making it in my aspect. So that's some of the negative thoughts that I have as far as trying to get to the next level. If I don't make it into any of those doors, I feel like then I was an ultimate fail on trying to be that DJ and be that personality that I started out to be.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things that I feel like is really the ultimate negative thought, not being able to make it to that next level. Because if you don't make it to the next level, you just basically you flatline out and be stagnant in that same range, and you want to go above that. If you don't get above that, I look at it as a negative. It just wasn't worth all of the beginnings. So if I had to say that's probably my most negative thought about this whole process that I started out to seek out a new adventure on.
So you're saying that even though you've done all this work to build your foundation and you've gotten this far because you had some successful events and you've had some type of acknowledgement that you are doing a good job at what you do, you still have failure deep inside that you might not get to where you ultimately want to get to, and it kind of makes you feel like this whole endeavor wasn't worth it.
Right. Yeah, I just feel like if I don't make it to those specific spots that I see myself being in, then I feel like I just failed the whole test, so to speak. So those are some of the things that kind of validate you being where you wanted to be, what you started this whole thing for. If you get to this point, it was all worth it. But if you don't get to this point, then you basically just wasted a lot of time. So that's that negative feeling that I be having, and that's why I'm trying to convince myself that I have to keep going, no matter how long it's going to take or how fast it's going to take, either or. But you still have to work and maintain and grind at the same amount of time that you have to, no matter what the process is. You never know when it's going to be at the end of it, but I just want to strive and try to get to that point.
Yeah, that's great. That's great that you have that mindset already. Although you do struggle with, not knowing the unknown as if you're going to make it or not, you still have the faith and you have the potential to believe in yourself and your ability that you could possibly get there. So I want to commend you on that, because it takes people a long time to even get that ambivalence of what they can and cannot do. So the fact that you stepped out on faith, do you have a faithful foundation at all?
Yeah, I do. Actually, I mean, it's something that I do daily with myself. I just try to keep myself, spiritually motivated and,
Mm-hmm.
just try to not necessarily convince myself, but kind of reassure myself that I'm doing the right thing. And as long as I make one person happy, excuse me,
Mm-hmm.
one person happy, one person smile, then I'm doing the right thing.
Right.
So no matter how long or how far it takes me to get there, I know I'm on the right track.
Right. And speaking about your abilities, what is your faith and what does your spirituality say that God says about you and your abilities?
And my abilities is basically that if I don't get it the first time, I'm gonna keep going until I get it. Um, basically maintaining faith and just staying strong and keeping that belief that in my heart that one day I know it's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when it's gonna happen, but I just have to keep going until it does.
Mm-hmm.
So my inner faith and belief is that I just gotta keep going.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically it. Just keep going.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and God says through him all things are possible. So the fact that you already have that foundational faith that all things are possible, even if you don't know how or when they're gonna happen, you're still moving as if God is gonna move on your behalf to make those things happen for you. And if it doesn't happen, God still has your back no matter what.
Right. And I live and die by that. Well, so to speak, I live and die by that every day. So that's always a thought and a constant reminder in the back of my mind that, even if it does get tough or it's getting slow or I feel like I'm not progressing, maybe at the end of the day it's just a test just to see if I'm going to keep going, if I'm going to stop. But I feel like if I keep going, eventually I'm going to get to that point. But sometimes, like I said, you do get discouraged and you want to question yourself and you want to, figure out if this is the right path that you want to take. I feel like I'm on the right path. So even though I have those thoughts and those feelings, sometimes I just remind myself I just got to keep going and continue to try to see this thing out to the end. So, yeah.
Yeah, so it's in the aspect of keeping moving forward and changing how you feel about, your fears of failure in this new career path. Would you consider journaling or consider making memories regarding some of the past events so you can continue to see where you came from and see how far you've come from that point, just to kind of keep a record of how far you've come during your journey, to keep you motivated, as well as acknowledge the fact that you are doing what you said you wanted to do, even if you have not hit the highest pinnacle of what you want to do, just to remind yourself where you started versus where you are now, and then also keeping your mind open to the future. Would you consider that?
Yeah, I believe that's a good idea. To kind of like see, like you said, see where you started from and see, currently where you are with it right now. Just thinking about that, I could tell like it is like night and day, like versus what I started doing and all of the things that I've learned and picked up until this point. That alone is motivation in itself to keep going. So that sounds like a good idea. I think I can do that.
And how would you explain how you would do that? Like when you have those moments of doubt and moments of discouragement, how would you implement that into helping you stay positive about how you will keep on going and moving forward?
Well, one thing I can say is that I've actually kind of already started doing that without even really doing it, because everything that I do, pretty much, I try to put it on a record as far as video footage, not only just for show purposes, but just for to go back and kind of critique and see what I could have did better, what I didn't do, or what I did do, to kind of remember and take it on to the next event. But everything that I've done pretty much is is recorded on a video file, so I can just go back and look at the beginning of all of the early videos and look at what I'm doing now, and just that in alone in itself will give me more than what I was actually seeking to find. I never thought about doing that, but I think I can set up like a digital journal, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of follow along as far as what I did when I started and where I'm at now. Um, that alone probably let me know that I've increased a whole lot. So I think I am on the right path.
Yeah, that'll be great. I want to encourage you to do that if you feel like it will be helpful because um, you are already unintentionally doing it. But once you do it intentionally, you can also set goals for yourself. Even if you don't see any traction on the outside, on the inside, the traction will be seen because you will be having those journals, those digital journals from the present, from right now to 3 months from now, and that way you can see your progress, and it can continue. And when those discouraging moments come, you can go back and look at that. Not only look at it, but you can create a new one. You know, to kind of keep you motivated. Like you said before, it makes you feel good. So remind yourself why you do what you do, and not just because you want rewards from it, but because it really makes you feel good.
Right.
And once you focus on how it makes you feel, you can't go wrong with how you feel. You know, if anything makes you feel good, you live good. You know, so um, we cannot control the unknown, but we can control is the present. And I would encourage you to continue to do what you're doing and just make it intentional. You know, because of, you know, before you were just doing it and doing it for, you know, you didn't know why you were doing it, but you have to realize that it can be intentional, and it also can be a part of your story. You know, because those will be the great moments when you actually do reach that pinnacle, when you can actually say, I made it, I did it, you know, and that'll be the greatest time of your life. But to be able to look back on the journey, the journey, people always focus on the end point, but the journey is really where you get the satisfaction.
Right.
Because you can appreciate where you came from to how you got there. Not only when you get there, you can stay there and move further than that, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
That's something that I'm looking forward to trying to do and seeing how far that actually helps me get further
Mm-hmm.
with what I'm doing. So I plan on doing that and focusing more on that, and then kind of just like seeing what the progress is
Mm-hmm.
from like week to week, month to month, or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and just seeing what's the possible outcome can be after just doing that
Mm-hmm.
in itself.
Right, right. I think it'll be good for your confidence. I think it'll be good for you trying to get your content out there. You know, because even sometimes when people see a growth, they never tell you they see a growth. But as long as you see it, you know, it'll be seen. You know, and then you'll start seeing the traction as you move forward.